Jeff and Jeremy. It's like a radiogasm.
I said, hey, babe, check it out on the podcast.
Apple Podcast, Google Podcast,
And Spotify.
all this is going viral.
If I asked you how many gold medals Ryan Lochte has, would you be able to hazard a guess? Like, just give me your best guess. I'm not asking for a right or wrong here. Just give me your best guess.
I would probably guess around 3 or 4.
Yeah, I would have guessed less. I always thought he was a subpar swimmer at his prime. He's gotten 6 gold medals.
Oh, wow.
Which is pales in comparison to what Michael Phelps has been able to.
Sure.
You lose count, what Michael Phelps has done. He's trying out for the Olympics again. And you're like, okay, Ryan Lochte is younger than Michael Phelps, but how much younger than Michael Phelps is he? He's 36. 36. And he's turning to Michael Phelps for advice on what to do. Now, you remember he went running amok in Rio like some kind of teenager, and that was just 5 years ago. So when he was doing that, he was 31. When he was like, what was it, locking people in gas stations or something like that?
That's
lying
right.
about it.
Yeah, they had a whole thing.
And then now he's had like to deal with like rehab, and he was suspended from swimming for restriction on IV use. And yet he's got a checkered past, right? What is the Olympic team doing, allowing him to continue to compete, especially given his advanced age? 36 seems like old for an Olympic athlete. And maybe I just focus on like the gymnasts and stuff like that because they're like 15, or tennis players because they're in their prime at 19.
Well, I mean, you got to look at other athletes. Tom Brady's in his 40s, right? He's 41.
Yeah, but Tom Brady takes care of himself. He didn't have to go to rehab for no alcoholism. Well, that's what Michael Phelps is. I mean, I'm sorry, Michael Phelps, but he's had his problems as well. But that's what Ryan Lochte has had to do.
So, but just because you have an alcohol issue doesn't mean that you can't bounce back from it. Look at Tiger Woods. I mean, he had all kinds of problems. He came back and he was on his way to being great again. I mean, I don't know if he was ever going to be as great as he was, but I don't know. What other players were older and still performing and doing well? Kareem, wasn't he like in his 40s when he retired? I think he was still playing basketball.
Was he really that old?
Let's see here. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah, he's 43. 43 years old. Barry Bonds. He was also, I remember, in his 40s. You're the tennis guy. Didn't Roger Federer, wasn't he older?
No, he's still going.
He's still going.
Yeah, Roger Federer is still going.
So, I mean, it can be done as long as you take care of your body. Yeah, okay, he had an issue. He had a problem.
Well, I don't know if
problem.
Federer is. Oh, no, he has retired. He was 39.
I mean, golfing is a little bit in tennis, but tennis is, come on, your knees. I tried to play tennis with you 5 years ago. We played for a summer. I was done.
He is not retired. He is not retired.
Baseball players.
He actually is going to try out for the Olympic Games.
For me, it's the football players that are pretty impressive. Let's see, what other players? Frank Gore, still playing.
Frank Gore is a testament.
He's 36.
And that is the toughest position. You look at guys that play that position. Like, look at David Johnson. David Johnson, 3 years ago, was the best running back in the National Football League. Couple injuries, and now he's considered like maybe the 20th best running back in the National Football League. That position takes a toll on your body. And Frank Gore ignores all that. Frank Gore's body, for whatever reasons, like, nope, keep me going. Keep giving me the ball. Keep giving me the rock. Now, granted, he's not as good as he was when he played for the 49ers, but still, he's playing well into his 30s.
I don't know anything about swimmers, but I just wanted to look up swimmers and what age they retire. Here's a woman. She retired at 45. Name's Dara Torres.
I remember her.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do remember
I don't remember her at all.
I remember her, yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Because when we're talking about swimming.
Listen, the sport, it lends to longevity because when you're doing it,
there's not a lot of tension on your body.
It doesn't mess with your joints.
Right.
I mean, it's like if you could swim laps versus jogging, which is better for your body, I gotta think that swimming is better for your body.
I think it's the best exercise for your joints. Yeah.
You're not jarring your knees on the pavement every time you take a step, or you take a stroke. I mean, you're everything's fluid in your body.
So is Ryan Lochte our top?
I hope not.
Top swimmer? There's probably some guy we haven't heard of,
I
right?
think he's hoping to
unless you're paying attention.
I think he's hoping to make the team. is where we stand with that.
When are the Summer Olympics going to happen?
Late summer this year.
Okay. So I already seen the stories where they're handing out the condoms again. They're doing all that.
They're doing the condoms again.
Oh yeah, because they got to keep the STDs down.
You got to tell me about these condoms coming up.
Well, I just saw a headline that said they're handing the condoms out.
Whoa! Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
It's Jeff and Jeremy here. We were just talking about Ryan Lochte. Jeff found the story about what's going on with the Olympics. Later this summer, I saw a headline this morning that said, they're getting ready to start handing out the condoms again. Because they do this every Olympics.
Yeah.
Because apparently there's been a lot of STDs.
But Tokyo is very, they're very on guard when it comes to coronavirus. And as should any country in Asia, I think, because of, its origins, how it's affected people there from the jump. I mean, I would be very cautious. Not to say that it's not
Plus, at an event like this
problem.
where you're going to have all these athletes together,
but
who are used to sweating on each other, and
this is where you're sending mixed messaging. Okay, they plan to give away 150,000 condoms at the games to the athletes, but they're telling the athletes to take them home rather than use them in Olympic Village, where they are going to implement social distancing rules and coronavirus measures because that is the top priority there. Well, then why give them the condoms? Why give them the enticement of the false sense of
if you got to break the rules, at least you can break the rules and be a little bit safer, maybe?
Now, they started giving them away in 1988 as a way of spreading awareness about HIV and AIDS.
Sure.
And it's just been a tradition that they give away the condoms. The IOC requested their continued distribution, despite the fact that the Olympiads are going to be in the village where they are going to be encouraged to social distance and take coronavirus measures.
I see. So
which I'm guessing that a coronavirus measure of rando sex is that's an oxymoron. That's not taking place. That you're not going to be having sex with randos from other countries that just happen to be athletes as well, if you are following those measures.
it says here, dining has become another issue to resolve. Organizers were originally planning on feeding all the residents in the village, all the athletes, in a facility that has a capacity of 4,500 people at once.
4,500.
But now the organizers will ask athletes to dine alone, maintain social distancing with others, and wipe down surfaces after eating. So what does that mean? That they're not going to provide that? They're just going to... I don't
Sack
know.
lunch.
Why even have the event if you... I guess you're trying to put the right message out there. You can't force anybody to do anything. Much like the mask, you can, ask people to wear it. You can ask people not to come into your shop or your place of business without wearing it. But people don't have to. It's not like anything's going to happen if they don't do it, except for you might say, hey, you can't come in. So why even do the Olympics then? If they're that concerned about it, why not wait? What do the Olympics have to be on an odd year or something like that?
No, they're supposed to be last year, but then they postponed them. It's just they lose their bid and they lose their chance to get that money if you say, okay, we're not going to have the Olympics. So you've got to try to.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they, I'm kudos for trying and making sure that.
La 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 la, catching.
For doing
it's
everything
about
the right
cash.
way, trying to, but it's not going to, not everybody's going to follow the rules. A lot of these people are young. I don't know. Why even do it? Why not just push it off one more year?
Well, then
You would lose your bid.
you lose your bid. I mean, the fact that there's a Winter Olympics coming up next year
But at least they'll all have condoms. Probably multiple.
that they're being told to take home that they can't even use.
Whoa! Jeff and Jeremy in the morning.
Jeff and Jeremy here. Don't forget, you can text the word SMART into the 805 beer lines at 805-543-3693. You can win yourself a $100 gift card to Smart and Final.
Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star.
Got a new study out.
Baby, you can drive my car. And baby, I love you.
The average vehicles on the road in the U.S. today has topped over 12 years old for the first time since 2002. The old average was 9.6 years that somebody would keep a vehicle before they would trade it in to get something newer. Vehicles were once scrapped around 100,000 miles, but with new safety measures and increasing cars' value, apparently cars can stay on the road much longer now. It's not rare to find a car with 300,000 miles on it.
You know how many miles my van has on it?
Well, I thought about your van, which I know you bought used, but you've had it,
and you
put a lot of miles on it.
As of today.
Because you're driving it to Northern California a couple times a year. You're driving on road trips, vacations.
197,000 miles.
I was going to say about 200, so yeah.
And that's as of today, I believe, after we do our trip, it'll be close to 200. Well, no, I guess it won't be because just driving to San Jose and back. But, by the end of July, I
know you put a new generator in it.
Generator.
Alternator.
Yes, I put a new generator.
Alternator in it.
This is a badass minivan. It's got its own generator. That's an RV van.
Sorry, I have brain fog due to all the pollen from the wind.
I put an alternator in it, and that's the only. Well, no, I had.
Did you do the belts?
Here's the thing. Yes,
they have a serpentine belt. Or something like
I
that?
did do a timing belt. Yes,
timing belt.
The van had a glitch in it, though, and this is why I'm probably going to keep my van much longer than it should. It should get about 200,000 more miles on it because there was a glitch in the computer, and it was a recall by Honda, and I found out about it. It was consuming oil. It was using too much oil, and I was running out of oil. I was like, cars, especially Hondas, don't run out of oil like that. I took it over to Sunset. They're like, oh yeah, this is a service rider type thing. Not a recall in all of them, but the ones that are certain numbers, which yours is a recall. So I ended up getting essentially a new engine for my van. It was like a
rebuilt, refurbished,
$5,500 job. That's about what the van's worth.
Right. But you didn't have to pay for it.
I didn't have to pay
Honda paid
for it. Honda paid for it. And so it's like having a new engine. So that engine that should have 200,000 miles on it only really theoretically has about 80,000 because it happened about 120,000. So it only has about 80,000 miles on it. So really, I kind of benefited from it.
And was it a brand new block and everything, or was it refurbished?
Yeah, it's everything.
Wow,
I mean, they
redid
redid all of it, like all brand new stuff from Honda. Sends it over to them, and they put it into it. So really, it's like
Hondas are great, though. I mean, remember my Accord in college?
Yeah.
Everything broke. You remember that? Everything broke. I couldn't get out the door because the handles broke.
Yes.
The door handles broke off. So then I had to crawl out the window or open the window and then open it from the outside.
The engine was solid.
Yeah.
As solid.
The thermostat knobs fell off. The window came out of the alignment, and so I had to use my hands to put it in place. The clutch sleeve I had to replace. I actually was able to do that myself. It was pretty easy. And, or cylinder, I forget what it was. And then, but the motor was solid. And I remember the speedometer went out. I drove it for a year. And I remember selling that thing with 400,000 miles on it. And I bet you it had close to 5 because I drove it for a complete year. And we were driving back and forth from college all the time.
Oh, yeah, because that's right. You had the speedometer and the odometer.
The odometer didn't turn when the speedometer didn't work.
Yeah. Isn't that fun? I miss the days of guessing the speed because the speedometer would go out in a car.
That it was fifth gear, and then how many RPMs?
That doesn't happen anymore, because of this study. It says that it doesn't happen anymore.
How many miles do you have on your car that you're driving right now? Especially, I mean, obviously if it's under 100,000, just, sit on the sidelines on this one. But if you've got over 100,000 miles on the car that you bought, and maybe you bought it new, maybe you didn't, how many? Give us a text in, would you? 805-543-3693 on the 805 beer lines, reminding you to properly chill. Go to 805beer.com.